This week in On the Go, if you're looking for a new career, maybe an office with a view of everything Tampa Bay has to offer, we need to talk. Our local transit agencies are actively looking for transit bus operators.
We all talk about having that job with the window, right? And we have a very big window right in front of the driver's seat. There's no better place to work at.
Hello and welcome to On the Go, the TBARTA podcast, where we discuss the latest in transit and transportation all across Tampa Bay. I'm your host, TBARTA Communications Director Chris Jadek, and today we could be talking about a new career for you or someone you know. Transit agencies at all 5 TBARTA counties are actively hiring for a number of positions, including transit bus operator. We're going to take a closer look at what that entails and why it's more than a job. It can be the start of a very rewarding career. Joining me today are 2 leaders from Tampa Bay's transit authorities, Brian Abrams, Bus Transportation Manager with the Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, and AJ Ortiz, Supervisor for Safety, Security, and Training with the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. Gentlemen, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Before we dive into the topic, it's always great to learn a little more about each of your backgrounds. Brian, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us a little about your career at HART, how long you've been there, and what your job entails as Bus Transportation Manager?
Sure. I've been at HART for almost 6 years. Started in the training department as a training specialist, and about 3 years now been the Bus Transportation Manager. Focus on the day-to-day operations, engage with customers and operators with any suggestions, comments, concerns, needs, handle emergency communications, scheduling issues, recruit people, all of that kind of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff going on.
I'm sure there is. Thanks, Brian. And now to you, AJ. Can you tell us a little something about your time at PSTA, the job you have now as Supervisor for Safety, Security, and Training?
Chris, I've been with PSDA a little bit over 14 years. Started as a bus operator in 2007 and did that for six and a half years. Transitioned into the supervisor department for transportation and just did a short stint of about 22 months. I guess I did a job well done that I got promoted again to the safety department. Been now in the safety department 6 years, and recently within the last 3 years, became the lead instructor for all new transit operators. I'm also involved in recruiting, hiring, complaints, you name it. My plate is full.
I was going to say that you took the words out of my mouth. Both your plates seem to be full because there's a lot going on at our transit authorities right now. Well, let's get on to the topic today, the need for more talented people, including transit operators, to move the people of Tampa Bay. AJ, I'll go to you first on this question. Give me your elevator pitch to potential candidates on what's available and who you're looking for at PSTA.
All right. Well, no experience needed. First and foremost, the most important element that we try to look for in the individual is a good heart. Okay. As long as the heart is in the right place, we'll go ahead and implement and train all that is necessary to do the job. As long as you like working with people and enjoy, an office with a view, understand that office view changes every 3 to 5 seconds. So that's something that I like to put out there. Because again, we all talk about having that job with the window, right? And we have a very big window right in front of the driver's seat and a view of Pinellas, Hillsborough County. There's no better place to work at.
I love that. I hadn't heard about the office with a view and a rotating view. Very well way to put it. Brian, the same to you. What's the hiring situation over there at HART?
Same. We're hiring for a variety of positions, especially bus operators and our maintenance team. We're continuously doing hiring, and it's the same. There's no experience needed. All the training is in-house. If you love to drive and you love people, come on down.
All right, very good. Well, as we pull out of the COVID-19 pandemic, there are labor shortages in a number of industries nationwide, especially in the service sector with leisure and hospitality, but also in manufacturing and trucking. Is what you're experiencing right now just an extension of that, or is there more to it? Brian, would you like to take this one?
Sure. I would say that the transit industry and the commercial driving industry for the last several years have struggled with shortages, and COVID came along and it's kind of exacerbated that situation. We're always in a constant recruiting, hiring, and training mode. And there's expansions, people do career changes. So we're always looking and trying our best to get people in the door. A lot of times people, maybe they're nervous to drive a bus or they need more information about really what it entails. So we have all those answers for people. Call us up and we'll let them know.
Very good. And AJ, is it a similar situation over there at PSTA?
Absolutely. Brian took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, before we move on, let's clarify the title of this position, which used to be known just as bus driver, but there's much more to that job. And Brian, you and I were talking about this yesterday, so I'm going to ask you to explain that a little bit. Tell me why these positions are now properly referred to as transit bus operators.
Sure. Most definitely. They are operators. You don't just drive the bus. You're operating machines now that are just full of technology. They are expensive. AJ was saying, you have a corner office. So we like to say you get a corner office with a changing view of the city with a vehicle that, costs almost as $500,000. When you're driving the bus is easy. Everything else added to it is what makes you the operator. Working with customers, the traffic within the Tampa Bay region, the schedule, operating equipment on the bus, such as our ADA lifts and ramps and strap downs, the technology that's on the buses now. So all of that combined, you're definitely an operator. You're not just there to keep the bus moving.
All right, very well said. Well, let's talk more about the job of transit bus operator. It appears to be highly specialized. AJ, do you need a CDL, a commercial driver's license, like the big rig drivers have to do this type of work?
At first, no. We take anyone that has a valid driver's license, period. However, you will need to obtain a CDL of a minimum class B with a passenger endorsement, similar to, the truck drivers. Again, their load doesn't talk back. They just transport cargo from point A to point B. Dealing with the public, that passenger endorsement is definitely required. However, here at PSDA, and I'm sure the same at HART, we help obtain all that. So again, just getting their foot in the door, we'll take care of the rest.
Now, if all I have ever done is driven my car, and that's all I've ever done, maybe a minivan is probably about the biggest vehicle I've ever driven.
I'll get you ready, Chris.
You're always recruiting there. What type of training will be provided and how long does that take? Brian, how does that work at HART?
Most systems throughout the country are pretty similar. For HART, our initial training period is 8 to 9 weeks long. You come in with a permit if you do not have the correct CDL at the time. And the first 2 weeks is bus familiarization and CDL training, getting you ready for your CDL driving exam. There's typically 3 portions of the driving exam. There's a pre-trip inspection, maneuvers such as alley docking, backing in a straight line, and then there's a road portion test. We do that in-house with in-house examiners. Once you get that, then you go on to the classroom phase. You learn policy, procedure, industry theories and standards, and then there's an OJT, on-the-job training, where you're paired up with an operator and you do their schedule and you do their routes. You drive the bus and you learn live. And then after that, you graduate and then you're on your own.
AJ, same thing for you. Is that pretty standard for most transit operations such as yourselves?
Correct. Our training is an 8-week program. And just like Brian stated, we go over vehicle operations, pretty much go through the ground up on what the bus can and cannot do. We try to establish respect for the vehicle, not fear, because it is a large vehicle. And again, you're dealing with public roads and a lot of hazards. This job is not a physical job, but definitely mental warfare is what I like to call it, because you're constantly processing all hazards and mitigating risk that, again, a CDL holder should not take. During the training, again, we go back to fundamentals. We do the same training that HART just, like Brian stated, with vehicle inspections, pre-trip, basic maneuvers, and road testing. We do have examiners in hand. I am one of them. And again, we kind of do a rotation of training. So that way, those that are training cannot test. And we follow that from state of Florida guidelines.
Very well said. Well, AJ, I want to pose the next question to you here. What are the qualities you look for in potential transit driver recruits? You touched on this a little bit, but that's a critical part for anybody who might be thinking about this career and part of your screening process, I'm sure.
Yes. First and foremost, the heart in the right place. Once that boundary has been set, everything else is teachable. We definitely look for personality, responsible individuals, and people who just indeed like dealing with the public.
All right. And Brian, the same to you. As you are interviewing operator candidates, what catches your attention?
Pretty much the same thing. Someone that is dependable, great with attendance, customer service, safety, attention to detail, and communication. Very important.
Given that dealing with the public is such an important part of this job, what type of background is appealing to you? Do you find people in a different service sector who maybe not have driven a bus, but seem to have dealt with the public? Some of the background of maybe some of the drivers you've hired recently, what has you say, oh, you know what, that was good experience, and I think that would translate well to this? Brian, any thoughts on that?
I would say there's so much variety of experience that works best here. You're dealing with the public. You're dealing with all walks of life. You are operating an expensive vehicle. You have great responsibility. So if you have those things in other areas, it can relate. We see a lot of people who are in the healthcare field that are making the change and coming to us. Those that are in banking, there's a lot of interesting career moves that they want to come to public transit. And it's great to see. And they all have had good experiences that can transfer over.
That's very interesting. So AJ, the same to you. What other fields have you maybe been recruiting from?
We've had a variety, just like Brian said, from anyone who's in the hospitality sector or the healthcare field. We've even had prior law enforcement that again just want a transition. It definitely provides a different element to what we do, but again, the same experiences with customer service and dealing with the public is highly beneficial when you come here, because let's face it, dealing with the public is not easy, and it does require some time, some training. But back to what I said, if you have the heart in the right place, everything else can be taught.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's talk about the benefits of being an operator. As any job candidate would want to know, there's pay, there's benefits, working hours, and more. Brian, I will start with you. What would a potential candidate want to know about the benefits of working at HART?
Most definitely. We have the health, dental, vision, paid training, career development, tuition reimbursement, annual vacation and sick time. And we are part of the Florida State Retirement Program known as the FRS. So that's a big attractor. Not many places do pensions. State of Florida pension is quite sound, and we are one of the institutions that have that. So if somebody has FRS somewhere else, it can transfer over, or if you're new to it, you can join in. On top of that, we have great salary for our bus operators. So there's a lot of great benefits here at HART.
And AJ, how about PSTA? What would you like to tell us about the compensation there?
Oh, very similar to what Brian stated, a full benefits package, medical, dental, vision, obviously great pay, lots of overtime for those that want it. The state pension again with the FRS, with addition to other retirement options as well. We also have tuition reimbursement, similar to what Brian stated. And we also have a PSTA university, which has recently been implemented within the last 2 or 3 years. It's a program in-house offered to individuals who want to move up, want to move into another department or into a leadership role. So it kind of gives you the hands-on training if you've never had any type of experience, but are interested in, again, moving around to other locations of PSDA.
Well, many potential employees are looking at more than just the current job. They also want the opportunity for promotion to move up the ranks. And I think each of you have done that in your own careers. What are some of the potential opportunities that good drivers can be eligible for as their careers progress? AJ, let's start with PSTA.
Definitely am humbled to say that I am an example of that. In 2007, I started as a bus operator, and slowly just my heart was in the right place, and I worked for the job I wanted, not the one I had. And PSCA has opened doors for me. I'm truly grateful. Became a transportation supervisor. Enjoyed working not only with the drivers, for the drivers as a supervisor, because that became my clientele. And shortly after that, I've been in the safety department, which was a dream of mine when I first started. So again, the avenue is open to whatever you want it to be.
Excellent. And Brian, I imagine it's a similar situation at HART. There are opportunities for advancement in your career.
Most definitely. Within our operations area, one could become a transit supervisor or an operations controller, dispatcher. There's also cross-departmental opportunities. So a bus operator may want to one day switch over and become a streetcar motor person or a paratransit operator, or other areas within the agency, such as marketing, HR, safety and training, maintenance. The avenue opportunities are definitely there.
Well, that's interesting. And you mentioned streetcar motor person. That's a new phrase to me. I imagine that's the Tico line streetcar. Tell me a little bit about that while we have the opportunity here. I guess the skills and the experience are maybe a little different than transit bus operator.
It's a little bit different, but similar. We do have 3 modes that we operate here at HART. So our fixed route bus operator, we have our Tico line streetcar motor person, and then our HART Plus, HART Flex paratransit operator. The Tico line streetcar and paratransit do not require a CDL. They do require a driver's license. And again, all the training is in-house. You're certified to do rail within HART, and pretty much everything else that we're looking for a bus operator is what we're looking for the streetcar motor person as well as the paratransit operator.
And AJ, I want to give you a chance to answer a similar question because I know PSDA has many different modes of transit as well. Are there similar, different situations for drivers, operators?
Yes. Again, I actually have a operator who's been here about a year, and he's actually trying to transition into our finance department. Apparently he has an accounting degree. So the fact that he got his foot in the door as an operator, great employee, great attitude, comes to work every day. So I feel he has a good chance. I wish him the best if he's listening.
Well, compensation, working hours, benefits, those are all important considerations in any job. But what else have you learned in your experience being a transit operator? Maybe some of the unknown benefits of the job that don't get posted in those help wanted ads. Brian, any thoughts on that you'd want potential candidates to know about what they could be experiencing on this job?
This topic probably could be a whole separate podcast. So I'll try to define it. I would say you're learning a sense of community. You're learning where you live. You're learning about those that you are meeting with every single day. Networking, so many great opportunities out there. You're dealing with the public and you're seeing the same people sometimes day after day, and the person with empathy and heart, you get to that stop on Tuesday morning, where's Miss Jones at? She typically here, that sort of thing. So in addition to that, there's a whole nother realm of teaching and learning that you receive just naturally with your interactions with folks. There's a psychology to it, a sociology to it, etc. So there's a lot of expansion of experience, especially with this role.
Excellent. AJ, the same thing to you. I know you have an experience you want to share later, but first, just touching on the same themes that Brian has, those maybe the qualities or the experiences that don't readily appear to somebody who's applying for this job.
Definitely fulfilling. You are helping people, and the public, they appreciate. As a driver, I remember a time when I was on vacation and I had passengers that were kind of upset that I didn't tell them that I was on vacation. They thought something happened to me. So, when I came back to work and started driving again, the fact that they said, dude, you weren't here last week. Is everything okay? And I'm like, I went to Disney. I was in Orlando. And they're like, we're just making sure you're all right. Because again, my bus driver wasn't here. So the fact that they claimed ownership, I'm theirs. It definitely, you definitely feel the love. You feel the appreciation from people.
Well, that's good to know. And I also know you have your own personal experience you wanted to share that you tell all the recruits that also make this a rewarding experience.
One of the stories that I tell in my training class while I was driving the CAT trolley, which is our Central Avenue trolley, it goes up and down Central Avenue from downtown St. Pete to the beach. I had a situation where it became somewhat hostile with a passenger that was not following pretty much PSTA protocol and the law. And this person was verbally abusive. However, I had this one individual that I kept greeting every day, would say hello, practically had nothing to his name. And, the thing about it was I went above and beyond to just greet this individual every time I saw them with little response. Okay. And what was crazy, fast forward to this situation, he came to my defense. He came to my defense and again claimed ownership and said, You're not going to talk to my driver that way." And it was crazy because I never heard him speak until that moment. In the recording that we have on our buses, I heard other words, but in my head I heard enigma because here was a savior, right? And when I asked him why he did that, why did he go out on the limb for me? I'll never forget. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. He said to me, "You're the only driver that says good morning." And it was crazy because I thought about it. I was doing it as a game kind of thing, where just going out of the way, just, having fun, being the funny guy that I am. And this person took that and held on to it and was willing to protect it at all costs because of the fact that that simple good morning, he knew that if something were to happen to me, that only interaction that he was probably getting every single day, I was the only one giving it to him. And, to me, it solidified what it was that I was doing. And again, I take great pride in doing it.
That is a great story. And it goes to show that these are personal experiences. You're doing a job, you're moving people, but the interpersonal relationships that you forge just by saying hello and interacting with the public, Brian's touched on this as well, are very important and very meaningful to the people you serve. So my thanks to you and all the people who work very hard at HART and PSTA for doing all of that. We've been focusing on transit operators here because that is where there is great and current need at all our transit agencies across the TBARTA region. Brian, are there any other positions you're interviewing for right now that you want our audience to know about?
Sure, we have a variety of positions available currently at HART, including in our human resources department, finance team, maintenance, and operations. So there's a lot going on.
And AJ, how about PSTA? Any other positions you want to mention while we have the opportunity here?
Oh, absolutely. There's various, and again, like Brian said, again, with the maintenance department, bus operations, we like to call them customer service on wheels. And PSTA is a lot bigger than just buses. We have a finance department, we have a marketing department, we have an IT department. So whatever it is that you want to do, just again, it doesn't necessarily have to be just bus operations and driving a bus. There's definitely other avenues. And I like to tell people, the important thing is just get your foot in the door. Like I stated before, you work for the job you want, not the one you have.
Well said. Well said. As we wind down, I'm going to ask each of you to give our listeners information on how to learn more and how to apply at HART and PSTA. But first, as mentioned earlier, all transit agencies in the TBARTA region, that includes Pasco, Hernando, and Manatee counties, are also actively recruiting for transit operators. So if you live in one of those counties, let me briefly give you some resources for job opportunities. To apply with Pasco County Public Transportation, go to their website, ridepcpt.com. That's RIDEPCPT.com. In Manatee County, you will find listings at governmentjobs.com/careers/Manatee County. Also, Manatee County Transit accepts walk-up candidates each Thursday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. You can apply in person at the MCAT Fleet Facility located at 2411 Calabasas Road. And in Hernando County, go to this website. I will spell it out. ratpdevusa.com. You'll find job postings listed there. And now on to our guests. AJ, if we've done our job well today, we may have some interested candidates out there. So what do they need to know if they want to take the next step and apply with PSTA?
Again, all they have to do is go to psda.net and apply, and we will take care of the rest.
You'll take it from there. Very good. And Brian, how can I apply with HART if I'm interested in one of these positions?
GoHart.org, and all the information is on there. We also have been doing some info sessions, so the schedule for those have also been posted on our website, where you can come in and learn more about the position.
Very good. And info sessions, I imagine you're there and some other people from PSTA to answer many questions that maybe we didn't touch on today. Is that right?
Yep, we go into all the details.
Excellent. AJ, do you guys have similar outreach opportunities too from time to time?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Brian Abrams, AJ Ortiz, thank you for joining us today. This has been very informative, and I hope it sparks a couple new careers. And thank you for listening. I'm Chris Jadek, and you've been listening to On the Go, the podcast from the Tampa Bay Area Regional Transit Authority.